I'll bring up the old code. Let's see, what do we got? Wait, this one. There I am. Well, I might as well give you the title. Hey, Marlin Live Hangout. Here in my bedroom coding studio. As you can see, uh, lovely place. A lot of great environment to just work in. There we go. And let me mute. Okay, cool. Like the broadcast has started, so everything is cool. Let's get this going. Oh, here we are. Hey, so what's new? Hope everyone's having a good time at 3D Printopia. My plan today is just to go forward with the release of 2.1.3, tag that thing, and get the configurations updated, get the website updated, and just, document that here in a video for you all, so that, should I disappear mysteriously or anything else, someone will be able to take over and look at this video and be like, oh, there's all the steps, no problem, and then they can alter them. But anyway, I'm just going to go through that. I might talk a bit about the features I'm looking at as I do this. There's a few patches I need to bring in before I get fully into it. As for other things, let's see. Housekeeping, funding is, it's not been great. We've just lost one of our whales, someone who's a big champion of open source for a long time and has been super helpful to the Marlin project. And I think they're shifting gears, so more of a closed stuff, and which is all well and good. They've been super supportive over the years, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting the project. Of course, we still have endless work to do. There's still many printers shipping with Marlin, and we hope that vendors will start to take the new version and use it, because this new motion system is pretty good. It has a new input shaper. There are going to be tools for tuning the input shaper from Ulendo, and that work in Octoprint. And to the extent that we can start to integrate it into Marlin directly, we're going to try and do that. So you can hook up, if you happen to have a machine that's got, say, a spare serial port, or there's a special way we can get it to work with like a USB device that you could just plug into your printer's USB port and then use that as an accelerometer reader, that would be pretty cool. So, we're keeping things in mind for what we can do. The device that Ulendo will be providing is, I don't think they've announced it yet, so I don't give them too much of a spoiler, but I just want to let you know there will be devices for tuning, and you'll be able to take your machines running Marlin and just upgrade the firmware, grab a device, and connect it to Octoprint, and you're good to go. Let's see what else is new, exciting. Some changes to the UI, just mainly refinements and cleanup. Reorganized menus into like a bed leveling menu, where you do all your probe and bed leveling stuff in one place. Separating it from the motion menu, moving some things out of like deep in the advanced configuration and moving them to more convenient places. A few things needed to be done there. See what else. Well, of course, the whole point of this release was to really just make sure we got all the, as many bugs and issues ironed out, and like leveling procedures and calibration procedures working reliably. And we've done a lot of that to an extent. I know there's still some issues. One issue, there's also the Trinamic TMC 2240 is another driver that has been introduced, and I got a set of them, and I immediately killed them because I put them into an SKR2 board. I thought it was a revision B. It might even be a revision, but it still killed them. So I haven't deeply tested them, but I got to a certain point. I got them tested up to a point where they were working. So I'm going to mark that. I'm going to add a warning when you build with these drivers that you probably will want to be careful to help us find the right tuning. If someone has some ideas about that, that would be great. We could use the help. I happen to have most of the settings I got from authoritative sources, but I thought One of them was from code contributed by Big Tree Tech, and so I thought that was fully it, but it doesn't seem to be completely right. And also that has a new stall guard. That's kind of the big deal about these, is that they have a stall guard where you can actually do homing in silent mode and stuff. So that's one of the things we also haven't integrated yet. So that'll be another thing to do. Anything else? Oh, I should have made a big list. It's quite a long list, but I'll mention things as I go. I'm sure I'll remember others. But yeah, well, let's get into what I have to do. Let's first look at lingering bugs, and I'll fix those. And we'll just get on. I'm just going to be hanging out today, several hours, and hopefully chatting the whole time so you don't get too bored. But feel free to skip around as this is once this is published. So good. All right. Such a buzz. Where to get started? Right. So yeah, as for housekeeping, let's see. Yeah, I mentioned funding, and we did lose one of our whales. So if you can help out and you benefit from Marlin and you want to keep this project alive and going and keep us updating things, please donate. I am just at the edge of where I can survive, and if it gets much lower, I'm going to have to do some things which will take away from my ability to work on Marlin full time. But I'll still be able to do as much probably as I've been doing, and keeping up with things. But it does rely very much on the community getting all those donations and things. But let's get started. For me to be able to put as much time in as I'd like. What I was going to say. All right, here we are, Marlin, main. I'm making a new branch called main, yeah. Um, and that's going to replace the bug fix branch as the main branch. And we're going to be doing all development in main going forward after this release. So this is a thing, axis smoothing. It's a draft. I'd love to put it in today, but it's a draft. We'll take a look at it and see what. But I mean, considering that we already have a lot of, that the whole point of the FT motion is to provide input shapers that effectively smooth motion. I'm not sure what this is about, but we can look at it. Yeah, let's look at it now. In fact, we got there we are. Okay. What have we? Well, see what it's about. Options to smoothen each axis independently with 5-chain delay compensated exponential smoothers. How about that? Now, David has been really helpful. Beyond like what Yolanda provided to us was really cool. It was a good starting point. Yeah, you do your motion, converting it into steps, and then and while you're doing so, you do your smoothing and your shaping and all that. Step and direction all gets shoved into a buffer, and then we just run that buffer, which actually makes the ISR also much more efficient. We take care of all the complex math and the main thread and so on. And it's a good idea. So getting it together and integrating it was a real big project, but we had a great starting point, and it was very clear. It was very simple. It was just set up for basically an Ender 3, so we didn't have to go too fancy with it. I don't know how well this is yet set up to work with Core XY, but that's obviously going to be a big deal. Typically, you do Core XY by um, doing like diagonal stuff, and then but I don't know the full trick. Someone will have to give me, but more info about it. I'd like to say I'm a deep math expert who understands everything in this bloody firmware, but a lot of it is way over my head. So I do rely on the community to help me understand some of this code. Let's take a look at what we got here. 5-chain delay compensated exponential smoothers as a fast approximation of Gaussian smoothing. The concept originally developed for smoothing advance. This one makes motion infinitely differentiable. You know your calculus. Minus approximation and quantization error. So trajectories and all their derivatives become smooth. It's a cheap and fancy low-pass filter. So a 90-degree corner with both axes resonating at 3 frequencies, 50 hertz being the main one. And how these things mix and match, you'll have to. It's a mystery to me again. Like I guess if you have overlapping resonances, there are points where they'll cancel out, and then there's points where they'll add up and give you extra resonances, and I think that's what's being talked about here. So yeah. So the blue was the planned, obviously very ideal. Orange is the actual motion after. So in other words, it's ringing. Um, and then the smoothed is the red, gives us, basically another ideal approximation. It looks like actually oh, I was looking at the cyan one. Okay, so yeah, the blue is the planned, which of course is a perfect corner. The red is the smoothed command, which gives us these rounded corners, which you got to get used to that with input shaping, because you're going to have slightly rounded corners, but a lot of time it doesn't matter. And tool that actual motion. So pretty cool. So that's what we're looking for, is that cyan line. You can see that the resonance is like crazy, and you can see there's even a little jerk right there. Okay, that's pretty cool. And it is a draft until this one, synchronization and input shaping, are merged, and then this has to be rebased. So, well, let's take a look at those. Get them out of the way, or at least, as well as we can. All right, so this again 4 days ago. Adds z-axis input shaping. Now, frankly, I don't know how I feel about that. It must be something that people care about for reasons like, oh, I guess if you've got a big aluminum bed, that, yeah, I can see where you're going there. Typically, though, you're not doing a lot of Z motion, or if you are, you're typically doing very slow, very gradual Z. So this isn't a big deal, but evidently, let's see which one has got the earlier number. This one does. And well, these are independent of each other, so let's take a look at that. Okay. And this is my typical review process. Look at the code, get cross-eyed, and then try to understand, and then clean it up, and so on. If core is XZ or YZ, then axis 2 is C, otherwise Z. I wonder why C, yeah, well, I mean, axis 2 though? Oh, would we have axis 0? Oh, we do. Somehow I forgot that. Maybe we should just call them axis X name instead. Um, anyway, has Z, and then here's the shaper, and with Z. Axis has shaper, gotcha. And or Z, right? And so these are basically just duplicating what's already there, but for Z. And here a G, this is for the axis synchronization. I believe this actually is not in this yet. Or is it? I thought that was supposed to be this. Oh, okay, wait. This is the Z input shaping. The other one is the, okay, so wait a minute here. They're not separated. Dude, you have to be, want these isolated. Like if the one is going to conflict with the other if it's done this way. Let's just merge. I don't know. I should bring them all together. I think that's the way to do this, because yeah, it's otherwise impossible for me to bloody get it. What's going on? Thank you, David. Of course, I appreciate your contribution. Just how to deal. Let's see, Z-based, blah blah blah. Right. So if we're just doing Z input shaping in one thing, we can't be I mean, which one comes first? This one must come first. But then this one contains elements of what's in this, right? So how do I? Okay, let's just do what I would usually do here. Let's grab here 28055 and 28050. Them both. Let's get bug fix and bring them both in, I guess. You can see the difficulties of sometimes dealing with Git stuff. Is that when people contribute things, if they're not following like careful procedures, it just makes more work. You know? But it's the one way we can track things, so let's do it. All right, moving on. We have. How did I want to do this? Git merge PR slash. Well, I guess I should make a copy of this one first. Okay. Now we merge PR slash 28050. Okay, and then 55. Oh, okay. They share some commits, and that's why that works. And then if I were to rebase the two, I think we would see like right. That cleans it up. Okay. Yeah, this is I mean, if there's new options and stuff, so I mean, kind of have to make this after the release, be an after release thing. Love to be able to bring it in today. But again, this is another issue where it's like, what are we going to do? Wait another week, before we release this thing, and then another week after that, after this another thing comes in. Like, we can't just keep doing it this way. We have to move forward and release this damn thing. Oops. Anyway, the best I can do is just, you know me. All I know how to do is clean up the white space and comments and things. So let me do that here. So typically what we do is we just replace them all. Oops. What? Oh, if I know how to spell. Here we go. 17 occurrences of extra white space. I assume this person is using Vim. I get the sense, or one of those editors where you can't see the trailing white space highlighted for you, and it doesn't remove it for you automatically as it does if you use, say, Sublime or VS Code, where we have settings set up that will specifically clean up the code every time you hit save. It'll just remove the extra white space and stuff, and make sure there's a return at the end, and so on. Anyway, that's a typical cleanup process here, so let's do that. White space, get that out of the way. And then, right, then there was the other thing, which is just like, let's review all the changes at once. One way to do that would be to just simply combine them all. There's no particular reason to leave these as separate commits because we're not going to in the long run anyway. So why not combine them all? Okay. Okay. Cleaning up. Here we go. So first off, default shaper for Z. And for E, what? Boy, we're going crazy. I don't know about extruder shaping. That seems weird to me. Is there extruder shaping? And I guess there probably must be. In that case, why don't we just add shaping to every axis? In fact, we do. Or well, we can, we have, basically we could shape every axis, including all your rotary axes and extra linear axes and all the axes. We could definitely be doing that. Let's see. Um, Again, peaking, UVW, YU, or YZE, T, again. As extruders, puts that first. I see the G is always there, huh? Okay, well, we can do something sort of, just make this a little prettier. Um, Not by much. And don't forget the comma. There you go. Oh, I see no reason not to include this up here. And then if these are going to be part of the sync, is that syncing? Okay, syncing, smoothing, and linear advanced. I guess syncing, smoothing, and linear advanced. Are they all similar? Are they related? Let's take a look. Oops. There you have it. So it's a mess, but what are you going to do? I mean, I could do it up here. Frankly, if you really want to get into it. All right. I originally, that wasn't possible to have just as many arguments as you want in this thing, but now you can. And I do believe that does take care of everything except for that comment. So, okay. Neat. One big old print command for all the settings. Effectively, it won't save a byte, but what are you going to do? Just for neatness. Okay, anything else that we should? Yeah, I'm just making it a big old squish because it's not going to matter in the long run. We got that sorted out. That. Um, this is, I mean, love it or hate it, I do have to go in on occasion and fix up the spacings. I would love it if the contributors would do that for me, or to save me a little time, so I can work on the other people's contributions more. You're taking away from other people's contributions when you don't complete, or you leave a big mess. So I would ask, I would ask, zeta, zeta, zeta. X, Y, and apparently that's something that can happen for Z too. Do we not have Z here yet? Oh, there it is. And okay, just checking to see there were enough of those. I don't know why. Oh, wait. There we go. I want to make sure I can find them all. Things like these should match. Just for neatness. I know it's very anal, isn't it? Anal retentive. That's it. That's the nature of code. It makes you turn. It turns you into a stickler for details. Let's see. Or maybe that's maybe it's the other way around. Oh, and then whoops. See, you know, if my editor, when I just all I had to do was hit save. Look, it put it put the return on the end for me. I didn't have to do anything. So, you know why? Because I wasn't using Vim. I appreciate people who still are like devoted to Vim or Emacs, but or some other editor that doesn't that has like a all kinds of things built into it and stuff. Especially if you've sunk a lot of time into learning the editor. Um, but I'm kind of a stickler. I like these modern ones. Although I have to say, Sublime, like I guess they just released 4. Haven't purchased it because it's pricey and I'm poor. So, but it seems like that I like that because it's fast and doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. So it's close in that sense to Vim or Emacs. It's like when you're just using it in its bare mode, and you can actually put it into a modal Vim type behavior mode where it's like, oh, you go to edit mode, then you go to you know just view mode or whatever, navigate mode. Um, and it's meant to, I don't know what, prevent you from editing things by mistake, but I don't know, all those weird key shortcuts, they seem to they don't I think it's like it's a wash. For all the good things that it does for you, it also detracts from what you could be doing with a modern UI. But that said, I know there's modern UI versions of Vim as well. So I don't know. It's like, is it really Vim if it has a modern UI? If it doesn't leave trailing white space that you can't see for others to clean up, is it really Vim? Okay. Let's see. Z E X O I Z E. So in this case, I think if you're using something like a bare uh, array like this, actually we're allowed. We can have our commas follow things and then have a spare one at the end, or not. I guess the last thing doesn't need one, but it makes more sense in this case to just do it this way. Because who knows, someday we may be like, oh yeah, you can have a Z but no X, and then this will work in that case. Whereas prior to that, it wouldn't, or extruder no X or something like that. Where I keep saying it's a habit I've been picking up lately. I will now. It's so that you don't interrupt me before I get to my next thought. But since nobody's here to interrupt me, I don't know why I'm doing it. All right, moving. Moving. Oh, what is this one? Oh, we're turning this into a menu macro. You can kind of see I'm like, hmm. I don't think so. I don't like it. Thing is, like these things like shaper dot axis. I mean, if that's the only way that we can look up the axis, that's not an excuse to make it into a macro. Instead, we will modify Shaper so we can look up the axis by index instead. In other words, you can say, square braces. So right now, shaper.axis is part of this config. So we have to go here. I think it's FT motion types, actually, or types. There we go. And here we have our config, which is, oh no, it's actually, did I define it up here? Yeah, maybe I did. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, the config itself is contained in an array of ftconfig t fig, and then the thing inside of it is, okay, I see what's going on. Shaper equals base zeta, etc. Let's see. Active. Here's the shaper part for each axis. Equals. Oh, there we are. Shaped shaper t, shaper equals, shaped elem. Really? Okay. Oh, okay, I see what's going. X, Y, Z. I gotcha. So, and then shaped LM. So yeah, these actually can be looked up by index if they were made into, if we use our types. We have types for that kind of thing. Let me just take a look at what shaped LM was. And it is either, oh boy, if I guess we have to do something like this. Might as well do this. But actually, a comma follows. So we kind of have to assume there's always going to be an X in this case. I'll fix this later when it really matters. But I just wanted to understand what this is doing. And it's like, okay, these are just, if there's a thing, it's putting in A, B, C, and D. And it's basically just, I think what's interesting about that is that it is just an index. There's like A, B, C, and D, and there just have commas between. So I don't know why it's dot axis. What am I missing? Well, I guess if I don't know what the type looks like. Ah, there it is. It's shaped axes and FT shaped axes. Ah, because this is the one I need to change. Here we go. Shaped LM. Oh, and look at that. We do have return val. Yeah, there we go. So we can use that. So you don't need to have macros there. We can fix that. So let's go. So we're looking at this thing. I know you're champing at the bit to get that 213. The bug fix right now is what I'm going to effectively be releasing. There might be a patch or two that I'm going to pick up while I'm here and put in, but let's take a look. Let's see. As I understand it, there's probably some other things going on from 3D Printopia, so I thought I might as well take a peek and see what's happening. It is this weekend, right? Am I missing something? I'll look it up. But let's see what's going on. There's oh, I forgot Jerry's show is, of course, on the his channel over there. You can go check out 3DHP. Come back when you do, after you do. He just won some award for his channel. That's pretty good. For being so awesome or something. I'm not sure why. But they are a very regular channel. They have a lot of good people. A lot of good design tips for your 3D printing. The streams can be rather long, so it's like tune in when they're live and then watch them while you're doing other stuff. Pick up a few tips. Let's see what else is going on out there. That's about it. Nothing, no big things coming in from 3D Printopia just yet. Well, that's all right. Learn. We'll see what's going on. Oop. I always have to check the YouTubes. I'm not addicted, I swear. So let's take a look at what the original code looked like. We had, oh, I see. We did have actually separate ones for each axis. And I'm not sure why at this point. There may be a way to do this as a function. It may just be that that was what we settled on at that time. And there wasn't really another way to do it. Well, yeah, that's one of the things too, is each of these has to be its own function. There is that. And okay, yeah, I see what you're doing there. So one of the things is we don't necessarily need to have the lowercase axis thing. We could just let it be uppercase or whatever. Like here, for example, menu FTM shape. One of the things is we do have lowercase elements on our types now, but I made aliases that are uppercase, XYZ, etc. So we don't actually have to worry about that. So here, for example, I could say this, and then I can get rid of that, and I can get rid of that, and I could just be like, you know, and is that all of them? Almost. So one thing I could do here is actually I could say, we'll just add an element here, which is const axis enum a equals, oh wait, actually it wouldn't work for these, would it? Because these need to have like, yeah, so I'll just be better off doing it this way. There you are. Yeah, so there. Now we can just do that. And then we can say, same here. Shipper name. Okay, and then again, same here. Okay, and any place else where the lowercase axis was mentioned? Ah, there was right there. So you can see these don't need to be lowercase. They can be uppercase this time. And that is fine, divided by 2. Anything else? I think I got it. Bum, bum, bum. Got Neil Diamond stuck in my head today for some reason. I thought there was that Hugh Jackman was going to do a biopic uh, about him, but it turns out it's not. It's man does quirky thing because of tragic circumstances. Let's see, type of movie. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let's separate a few things. I'm going to start making more marks at the ends of these functions to remind me what I'm looking at. Things like this. Just for longer ones, where I'm like, where am I? Who am I? What am I looking at? What's up? What's above this? What's below that? I know we can fold our code. It's not always that convenient. Okay, so that's looking pretty good at this point. Yeah, we'll just call it that, whatever. Okay, dynamic mode. Okay, feeling good, feeling good. Let's take a look where we're at as far as, again, I'm just reviewing the code all as one single blob so I can see what's going on at all levels. Centroid, that's interesting. And this mean? Id est should have a dot and a comma after it. How much does shaping delay the axis? Axis delay caused by shaping. Sum a times and then skipping I equals 0 since the uncompensated delay of the first impulse is always 0. So those are always 0. Okay, that's the way. I believe you. Gotcha, same here. Okay, interesting. Shapers are fun. Input shaping, it totally went over my head at first, but I'm beginning to grasp. It took me a while, but it's like, yeah, the idea is great. It's a really cool idea. I think actually I saw a paper about the first like 50 years of input shaping or something, referring to like how it was being used in construction cranes and things like that. And that was really cool to check out. So yeah, as far as the smoothing part goes, that really does seem to be, we don't need that obviously. Smoothing time, smoothing time. So they did really seem a bit separate, but you still needed that. So there are parts of it that were not separable, but parts that were. And let's see what we're looking at here. This looks like one of those cases where you'd want to use those macros to save typing, but yeah, it's already been typed. But let's take a look and see what's different about these. Yeah, TUV. Right. Max smoothing time. Oh, there's a case of greater than or equal. Fix that up. Just in that, just easier to use within. That's why we made it, so you don't have to keep saying this and stuff and repeating the variable name and all that. There we go. Just you're repeating a variable name multiple times. It's just multiple things you have to edit. Well, I kind of like plus equals and times equals and all that kind of stuff. Those operators are that assign as they modify are very nice that way. And we definitely want that on there. And while we're here, add an extra line, just space things out a bit. Okay, that looks fine. Just nice to have things at the front. Sometimes, like it's like you want to have the thing that you care about. What axis is this at the front? in some cases, but then there's cases where you have to use like this reverse Polish notation, like reverse domain notation or whatever. And then the thing that's most important is like the end. You have the stuff at the front, so everything groups when you list them alphabetically. I don't know. We're never going to get away from the way that variables work in code. I think we're just stuck with these conventions. It would be nice if we had alternatives. Okay, code, code. That seems all right to me. I would love to shorten these messages just because, strings take up way too much space. So typically what we'll do in these cases is something along these lines where you say, boom, right? Then same here, and then same here. So now you have one string invalid, one string smoothing time bracket, one string bracket value, instead of, it's one long string, two long strings, three long strings. Now you have two medium-sized strings, and that's it. And then probably the same up here, right? Invalid frequency, invalid zeta, vital zeta. So yeah, similar stuff up here. Say, oh, here. And I know this is really, really minor stuff. But again, it's the thing we deal with. Just want to make sure, do it now and I won't have to do it later, or do, okay. Okay. And again, this is like such a minor thing. And not what people tune into coding channels for. I want to watch you fix up syntax errors. That's fun. You want to learn something new. And I can't tell you a whole lot about the way this code here works. I can tell you that it generally does. This is the typical G code thing. Each G code has to deal with what it does. Invalid E, smoothing E. Can't forget E. Okay. I think we got them all. Invalid blank vital value. And you notice we're not doing it for every axis. Could add, or for every message. This one, for example. Right. At axis Z again, yeah. It's hard to remember which axis goes with which parameter, so might as well be helpful here. Wrong mode for And let's see, also Z. Okay. Z, Z, Z. Boy, all the Zs. Wrong mode. Okay. And this one is Y. And so is this. Yeah, it's important to probably mention these because, like, what if you put in multiple things and then it's printing out wrong mode for VTOL, wrong mode for VTOL over and over again? It doesn't tell you which axes. Like, that's dumb. So we got to fix that. Yeah, I think it's clear to see. Wrong shaper for oopty on this case. Um, is this the same thing? Invalid frequency value. Wrong shaper, invalid dynamic frequency mode value. Okay, these are separate from any given axis. And then, so same here, same here. I can squish those a little. Fine. Certain point, I'm going to be like, but that's fine too. We anything that starts with has or is guaranteed to be set to 1 when it's true, as opposed to just being set, or existing. Okay, that's cool. A little space. All right, anything else that looks sus? I guess not. Okay, on we go. Oh wait, there's one. Y-axis. Y frequency. Wrong mode for oop. Y frequency. Be tall. There's our X. Oop, there's one that we need to do. Supposed to be X. And that's the X. Okay, let's take a look. Invalid X space frequency value with a as the parameter. Wrong mode for frequency scaling. That's an interesting one. I don't think this comes up more than. Oh yeah, it does. What do you know? Dynamic frequency for F, H, and okay, so this does want Y. Does apply to Y, and that does apply to X. Okay, I think we got those right. X, X, X. Yes. X, 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 X. Okay, all good. Y, 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 Y. Okay. And I don't know, I guess, I mean, if we're going to be doing this every time, I don't know, maybe I don't have to say that, but I feel like it would be helpful in some ways. Zeta And then generally speaking, we put a question mark at the front of each as well. For the benefit of the host, and let it know it's like not good. Oops, it would help if I said wrong mode. Wrong. I'm going to say that if it prints wrong, it should also put a question mark there. If you put an exclamation point there, I believe that's an error, and it's supposed to shut the printer down or make the host pause. I think pausing is probably, well, I don't know, it depends on the situation, but sometimes you might want to set up your host to pause instead of just like shut down for certain things. Anyway, let's see what we got. It's all looking good. Oh yeah, moving on. Mhm. Someone's making breakfast. Healthy artery clogging breakfast. Let's see what else we got here. Enable ZA. I just want to make sure these are correct. Z. Oh, that's not correct, I don't think. Or is it DZI? Can that be Y or something? I don't know. Are these all DZI? What's going on with these? Do these even exist? Oh, they do. Oh, what do you know? Well, whatever it stands for, Zeta Index or something. I don't know. Just checking. All right, what else? M493 feels a little more complete now. Um, oh, I should add the warning while I'm thinking about it to let people know that Big Tree Tech, or I should say the not the Big Tree Tech, whoever makes Trinamic, those 2240 drivers are not yet fully. We don't fully understand them. Oh, let me go to shaped element. Well, make sure I got all the things it needs. X, Y, Z, E, X, Y, Z, E, X, Y, Z, E, X, Y, E, and then okay, that's all it is. Got it. Okay, makes sense. And the other thing is, like, we don't necessarily want to have, well, the way we did it with our standard like built-in input shaping, the ZV input shaping is that um, you specify whether you want it on X and whether you want it on Y, and you can have it on one or the other or neither, choice in the initial configuration. And then the only other thing I would do is maybe, yeah, you can update the EEPROM version, I suppose, but the thing is that it's not really. We don't want to affect other people who aren't using the features that are modified here. Should really just stay the same version. We check the checksum, we check the size, so we can tell if like something's changed. We don't necessarily need to use a version per se. Okay. And anything else? That's it. Okay, that looks good to me. Oh, this axis sync enabled. Understand what's going on there. Okay. Okay. Shape. Each one gets its own separate. It's like we're unrolling right from the get-go here. Okay, I gather what's going on. Little space again. Total delay is the max of the negative of each of these. Interesting. I think I might just do this just to make it clear these are negative and not being subtracted. And else. Could add a fifth thing. 0. Mm-hmm. Could also do something like min, but then minus equals, and then get rid of this. What do you think about that idea? Seems a little more clean. I mean, probably the compiler will do the right thing anyway, but it seems like you want to do that. What do you think? Smoothen. Smooth and smoothen are the same thing. Smoothify. Um, Smoothen even more. Smooth and smoothen. Like drowned and drowned. It's redundant and not to mention repetitive. Let's see what else we got here. Right, the smoothing itself. If the alpha is greater than 0, smooth val equals, boom, then it equals something else, and then the final result equals the val that you get. Okay. Smoothing order. One. Right. I get it. And then none is the default. And spell checking, things like that. Those are things I have to do anyway. And yeah, break goes here, actually. It's a weird thing I do, but it's meant to keep break at the same level, even if you have braces. You know, you could put it inside the braces as well. That's certainly fine. I just find it here because typically people would put it there, but I just find it useful to put it there. And also, the only reason that you ever put braces is because you're declaring something inside. And if you're not declaring something, you generally don't have to do that. And And I'll just be doing this if you don't mind. And pause. It's perfectly clear what's going on there. Each axis, as it were, is being adjusted. And why it's 3, though, I need to look at that. Oh, I see why it's 3. And it's interesting, you can't say UN32 equals 0 to 3 without it being complaining that it's doing some kind of signed unsigned comparison. I believe you don't need to do it there. You can do it. You don't have to hit U there. U is redundant. I don't know. Just one of those things. Okay, especially when it's 0. Is it an unsigned 0 or a signed 0? Yeah, you don't have to have 0U as a whole word anywhere in this code. But look, there are plenty of them. I mean, yes, you do need them when you're doing a comparison, but you don't need them when you're doing something like this. Like, there's no point. Um, you know, so it's just funny. I just wanted to see how many of these are like that. And it's interesting. Why not? Here you would 0U makes sense there because you are doing a signed thing. Well, actually, if you're doing signed and unsigned, then it doesn't matter. Although actually, well, maybe it doesn't matter. If I have that right, this value will end up being signed. This value again, signed. Size t, we know that actually is an unsigned number. Same there, same there. Sometimes they're useful, but I don't know. I was just curious to see about that. Maybe I'll come back to that. It's obviously not important now. But here we go. Them all together. And once again, M493 gives us some things. I guess the only reason I don't want to necessarily incorporate this right now is because the Z input shaper is on by default, and some of this other stuff is like I was saying, in the regular shaper you can disable and enable per axis, and in this case, Z is just going to pop up. It's just going to be there. I think. Let's see if I've got that right. Yeah, it's just going to do shaping on Z whether you want it to or not. So I think I really do need to make that optional. Like, who cares what the default shaper is? We should make it no shaper. If you don't want it, like, why would you have the code there at all? Just like, it's one of those things where we're not exactly Clipper, so we don't put everything in that we would need. And well, the cool thing about Clipper is you can just make it do, it can switch between modes all day long, and the printer on the other end of the cable will never know it. What's going on the Python, Linux side of things. So yeah, I think the only thing is I want to make it so you don't have to have a Z shaper or an E shaper if you don't want them. I'll tell you what I'll do. Um, if it was, I was thinking of doing something like make it FT motion shaper never. That's another thing you'd have to remember. Hmm. Something to think about. And then smoothing, yeah, that's a feature. I'm checking spelling. That's why I'm taking my time here. I'm just making sure everything is cool. Smoothens. I don't know. Funny word. Smoothens. Uh, this sounds funny. How many smoots? Let's just assume it always does, but it's not always perceptible. How about that? Okay. I think that's that. I don't know. I don't know what else to do. Do I want to incorporate this? And oh well, yeah, I do want to make that optional. I've got to figure out some way. How about this? I almost want to group these together, just like, okay, well, that's how we're going to do it. Then let's do it this way. See what I'm saying? I mean, this is how it's going to be arranged in the code, inevitably, right? So it's like, should we do it this way, where we have zeta? Again, this is all input shaper stuff. So why is there linear advance in the middle of your shaping information here? What's going on? Shouldn't that be more like here? Or if you wanted to get it out of the way ahead of the shapers, like, everyone wants linear advance, but not everybody wants shapers, maybe. So we could do that. And then put the shaper stuff in. So then you have your X shaper zeta, your Y shaper zeta, your Z shaper zeta, and your E zeta. Same with your VTOL. You got your X, you got your Y, you got your Z, you got your A. All right? And same here. Include E. There you have that. It could do something like, if you make the frequency 0, it tells the firmware that you're not using it, but I'd rather do it this way. So now we have this. Now we have to look and use that. So all the things that were added, I guess we'll use this as our guide. So start with M493, which is, of course, does it do Z shaping? Also, so I guess I could do something along the lines of, oh right, I also want to make these disabled by default. Need to be that. We have it. They are off by default. Sorry. And then So then you have this. And then we would basically say, oh yeah, if you enabled that, we'll just disable it after you. So we need conditionals advanced. And this is what we do. We massage your settings. Let's see if there's any FT stuff in here. There is FT motion. There we go. Right. The FTM Shaper Z. And E. There we go. So we just get rid of those when they're not needed. And that way, and then we don't nag you. Hey, you enabled it, but you have no Z-axis. Why would I want to bug you? So we'll just let that be. And then we use, instead of has Z-axis, we'll use this. Or this kind of stuff. All right. Then axis has shaper. See where that's defined. Right. Okay, obviously I can't be using that. If it's referring to, you know, yeah. So let's take a look at that. This gets a little tricky because if you don't have a Z-axis and you want to have an E, then you're going to have to change the index that you're looking at inside the shaper structure. We have to be careful about that. So we have to be like, okay, let's do this first of all. Find E shaper index E axis, I should say. That's typical. So you'd say, and then I have to do this where I say, if not FTM shaper Z, or I should say disable, then we'll go with enabled, then you would have a normal. And I guess I'll just do it this way. Computers. Okay, and then I guess the only other thing, oh, e-axis actually, do it that way, I have to say. Hey, how are we feeling about that? If you have a shaper Z, then you're gonna have that. Otherwise, you're gonna have that. Um, and it sounds like you would want to have, I mean, dynamic is basically about changing the frequency depending on your Z. I guess E, not one of the things you'd modify here, so I guess that's fine. Um, all right, once again, I guess I'll be using this code as my guide. And for that, I'll need another swig of hot coffee. Okay. And maybe a little trail mix. I don't know. All I got right now. Again, doing this fasting thing. Mmm. Chomp, chomp. Let's see. Okay. Let's make sure we got all that straight. All right. What was it defined as? Oh, right. Right. Let me see if I got this straight. We have these flags. You need to be able to kind of don't want to filter these in a, I don't know, it almost looks like, shouldn't this be, let me see what's going on. Acts has shaper. I want to be able to understand what the meaning of that, what that it means exactly. Okay. Yeah, I'm renaming it so that it's more clear. Okay. So just that make it more clear that it's shaping right now, not that it just can. I want to make it clear that it's not just the axis has a shaper you can turn on or whatever. Sometimes we can think of things in those different ways. So if axis has shaper X, Y, Z, uh, so if axis is shaping, okay, with all that in mind, I think everything I've cleaned up is so far just clean up. I haven't done anything major yet. So we can merge into what I've got. That'll just allow me to more quickly see the differences. Okay, good. Um, good is shaping, enabled shaper Z. Right. Cool. And then we can do the same for the E-axis as well. So, okay. Okay, and that's just linear advance. And yeah, you go back to what I just did. Handy copy of that. Okay, is that smoothing is also related, or not? Smoothing part of the thing or not? I may have to. Looks like I'll have to do the same for the smoother. Like I don't necessarily want smoothing on everything, do we? If def? No, we don't use if def. We use if enabled, brother. Come on. It's not. Is it not obvious from the code that we use if enabled instead of if def? There's a reason for that. You might want to define it from, say, your compile flags and define it as 0. And if there you go, it's defined now, but but you're trying to force it to be off. So your 0 fails because it's defined. So you have to, you can try and undefine it, but that doesn't do you any good. Old flags because it's not predefined. So again, the only way to deal with it is to use this enabled macro. That's the reason it exists. So where was I? Right. So as far as smoothing time goes, I guess I'll leave those alone for now. And also, I don't think smoothing should be set by M493 either. That's specifically about input shaping. And if smoothing is not, I mean, is it specifically related to the shaping or is it different? Is it more like a layer that you're throwing on top of the shaper that exists whether or not the shaper is enabled? Let's take a look. It's not explained. It can reduce artifacts and make step required, but as long as you're making this thing so wide, why don't we continue it and continuing it on the next line? I guess we can do this. Make it a little shorter. How about that? Okay, moving on. Moving on. All day long, I'll be roasting your pull requests. Tune in. Come by, say hi. Let's see. Okay. Next. Okay, that's already set up. Good. I don't know why I was expecting there to be no, it looks like there should be no end line here. Oh, that's because I'm looking at the wrong thing. I should be looking at this. Okay, again, has Z axis. We got them all. Right. Has shaper. Has shaper Z. There should be, looks like the shaper for E is missing if that's something you were planning. Shouldn't that be here too? Let's take a look. Linear advance has shaper Z. I'm still not seeing that shaper E. What's going on with that? There it is. Right. Shaped elem. We also have to fix up shaped elem so that, yeah, there it is. A, B, C, D. Right. And then this one is going to be FTM shaping Okay. Where's it shaper? I feel like it's shaping, but let's go big again. Yes, shaper. Okay. And then I guess this is supposed to be, this one here was supposed to be E, I presume. Okay. Uh-huh. I see. Well, it's never used in a macro situation, so I believe I can just do this. It has x-axis, has y-axis, FTM shaper Z, and FTM shaper E. Oops, E. There we go. Good thing I didn't have a count enabled thing, huh? Let's see. Here it is. Okay, it should all work. That gives us, and then you have shaped elements. So you got your has x-axis, y-axis. So see what we got for shaped elements. They all appear to be within a struct. And they all do, and they have their type in front of them. So what they're looking for is commas between, basically. Cool. All right. It's a little readable. Okay. Wait a minute. I believe that I can also, oh, I see, maybe, I think it's because FT motion, going to be 0. It's just going to fill it in with an empty thing. It's going to be pointless. Why do I want it? And I'm also going to do this because that's the way I roll. See if that makes any difference to my feelings. I like it better this way, frankly. It's neater. Right, so here we have shaped elements, and then it's going to fill those in for us, which is fine. Those that don't exist won't be seen. Those that are relevant won't show up. So I think the only other thing I need is to have my ducks in a row as far as the way that it's dealing with the e-axis index and knowing which index is which. Um, I can see like I don't want to do something that's like messy and dumb, and see how I would do something messy and dumb. Uh, and it's going to be hard to maintain. I mean, we're so invested in macros in this thing. It's just like, I don't want to do that. Keep going macro crazy. All right, moving on. Let's find out if that's what's going on. Uh, okay. I don't know why there's a default parameter on that. That makes no sense to me. It's always got a bloody parameter, so no need for a default here. We'll just save a couple bytes and let's see what else we've got. Right. Here it is for each given axis, and then it's looking up shaper axis. Well, guess what? We can't do it that way. Do something like const axis. Or this is a little tricky because if you don't have extruders, you may want to just, I don't know, I don't want to pass the index. Set shaper with a given index. Right. See here it's using an axis enum, in which case we can actually do that. I could save some effort here just by wasting the bytes on storage, allowing these variables to have values in them that we're not using. Some of these might be big buffers, and I just, want to make sure we're not allocating big buffers for axes that are not being used or don't exist. Everyone's doing well today. I know, again, I've been thinking about 3D Printopia, trying to see if there's any interesting videos coming from there, live or otherwise. I can double check my stuff, but I think it was this weekend, wasn't it? I just noticed people talking about it a lot, and I was like, oh, it must be this weekend. One time I was invited, a couple times I was invited. One time I was compensated. Another time, and I had speaking possibilities, and I did 2 talks, and I'm terrible at doing public talks. So it was the last time I went. It was kind of depressing. I had this tiny table, and nobody was stopping by, and people were some folks were like, "Hey, what's Marlin?" It's like, oh. Nobody knows me. Um, I was just gonna look it up and see if I could figure out when 3D Printopia is, but I'll just make double check here to make sure I got it right. That's what it just doesn't feel like today, right? Oh, what's going on? Hello. 3D Printopia 2025. When's that happening? Gotta be today. Oh wait, no, not today. Well, good. I was a little worried I was going to be, falling behind, but it says here, event 411, event details. Here we are. Oh, it is the 27th and 28th. Okay, good. That means I could almost go. I don't know. I'll think about it. I got to put this away. I don't know what was happening there. I was dragging a window and it actually messed with the OBS a little bit. I think it's because I was dragging over the OBS window or something. Got to hide it when I'm doing stuff like that, or I don't know. Anyway, back to work. Oh, cool. It's not 3D Printopia. That's good to know. I didn't miss it. Well, So that's a couple weeks. I don't know. I'll think about it. It's been so long since I've been, and I haven't attended as just a visitor. I think it would be fun. So anyway, okay. I take back all my 3D Printopia wishes. That'll come. That's coming up in 2 weeks. So good. I didn't miss it. I didn't miss it. And good. We'll have this. I just want to get this up in time for you guys, especially. So within this time frame, but probably today, I'm gonna get this tagged and put out a 213. I don't think I'll be including this. Um, there's just issues right now. Um, so Shapersy. There we go. What is this thing doing? Sometimes this thing seems like it's trying to be too smart. I may have to turn off the AI helper. It's just getting in my way sometimes. Yeah, autocomplete me all day. Okay, what else we got going on? Right, so we have to do this where we figure out what axis we've got. So I mean, one way I would do it would be to just make a little lookup of a lookup. This is a macro, therefore I can determine it here and now, and I'll make it const expr and everything. I'm gonna go with see, the problem is I can't just say, oh, it's e-axis if there is no e-axis, but I could, well, I guess if there is no e-axis, you wouldn't be called. But also, where is that e-axis? Is it not included here? Um, looks like you were planning on it. Didn't do it. So let's just do it this way. And I would use the turn macro here, but I'm not sure if it'll work. I guess I can just do a little quick build test and see. See if I got a quick shaper. Oh, it's not going to work. Oh, there's some interesting ones though. It doesn't like that. I must have missed something. Well, at least we're catching some things. Oh wait, that's right. I took out the extra parameter, so it only needs axis. Oops. And then it doesn't need this. There we go. All right, creativity and productivity. I like it. Trying to be industrious here and not let my soul turn into a bowl of squishy pudding. All right, what else we got here? Set CFG defaults. Right, we take out this axis. There, I think that's good. Sure. And again, trying to think of, do we need anything in the, what are we setting? We're setting the shaper, the base frequency, the zeta. Yeah, so those are shapers. Right, okay. Interesting. Typically we just say, write, write this, clear it, then frequency. I don't have to do this, but the compiler will know what to, generally speaking, like, I could just use I would do this. But that's how we're doing it. Right, and then the smoothing also, I guess, is, I'm assuming it's tied to the shaper, but we'll have to triple check on that. And should it be right? Smoothing dot axis dot set smoothing time. I see. Interesting. All right, let's see what we got here. So much easier to review this all in one big blob than it is to try and do each one individually and then sort out what to bring over from this and not to. You know what I mean? Try to put yourself in my place when you're submitting stuff, and generally, or in place of someone who doesn't know what's going on. You want to give them as assistance as you possibly can to understand your contribution. Anything else? Let's see. Is this definitely all part of, well, it's shaping, but again, smoothing is, what do you mean by smoothing? Um, and is it independent? And also, it needs to be disabled by default. These things, anything that's new needs to be disabled by default, generally speaking. But also, the reason this isn't going to build is just because it's too big. Like, once I do get the thing passing, dot axis, it has no member named axis. I knew that. I see what you're doing there. Very confusing. Why aren't you doing that? Assuming I meant something else. I don't know what's going on. Still doesn't like it. It It has no member named axis. Okay, I knew that. Oops. Hello? Oh, there's our. And then I would do this, generally speaking. Just make it A. Oops, or Q. Because Q is never going to be an axis, right? Unless you're a hang printer or something. Right, and then we have FTM, Shaper Z, and FTM, Shaper E. Uh, and hopefully I don't have too many of these situations where I've got like, um, what am I saying? An array where I have to compensate for the fact that there's no Z axis, whatever. I think there's got to be I'd rather do it with the naming the axes like these using named elements. So it's possible it could do something like it along that line. It's just this where was that thing where it was using creating an array or whatever. Um, Probably replace that with a struct and just, based on the number of axes we have and so. Um, Smoothing a V, huh? Interesting. Yeah, you can kind of see it's trying to be separate here, but smoothing variables. Well, actually, oh, okay. So it's there whether you use it or not. What's going on with that? Okay. Even with what you mean by this. Let me see what you mean by this. So first of all, smoothing backlash. Okay, don't care. 493 smoothing time for X, Y, Z. Enabled. All right, and then all right. I'll eventually get around to looking at the code that does the smoothing, and it'll show me whether or not it's dependent on fixed time motion's input shaper. I do believe that the shaper is generally going to be always available. Just one of those things you can turn on and off at will. I mean, if we want to get real granular about the build sizes that you can have, we can start to tear out and be like, well, yeah, you could use fixed time motion now. You just have to turn off most of it. Leave out certain axes, and eventually you'll have enough free space to be able to use it. Um, okay. These are essentially working variables, I presume. Again, smoothing, where was I? Okay. Wanted to open this up with a clean result. Smoothing time in stepper, Gaussian smoothing. This is where smoothing's happening, I guess. Smooth, oh, this is part of smooth linear advance, so something that already exists. And Gaussian, I know you have to capitalize it. It's one of those things. It's named after a guy, so capitalize that stuff. So I presume that's not part of where the new smoothing. See how the build is going here so far. Oh, still bad. What did I miss? All kinds of things. Smoothing time.z. There it is. If only. Still in my clipboard. Okay. Yeah. It's all part of, I mean, it's implied that smoothing is definitely a part of linear advance then. Right? I assume. Uh, it has extruders. Oop. Guess I should do this. There you go. Now we don't have to worry about having an E shape or index, whether or not. So there you go. Where was I? Unified BWS, right? Batch, batches, batches, batches. And then I assume this one again. Oh yeah. All right. Moving on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to deal with this smoothing thing and missing axis and all that other stuff. Just maybe just fill in a 0 instead. Number of axes shaped. In this case, we would just always fill in, whatever, 4. uh, I'm almost inclined to revert that just cause I don't want to make it simpler. Uh, yeah, and especially this here. Like here we have operator int, right? I could change that to axis enum instead, but I don't know if I have axis enum available. Well, I do. So I can change that to axis enum I. and then change it to I. If minus if MZ shaper enabled, then we're good. Else, oh look, we do have that, so that's good. But yeah, this is where it's like gets weird. It's just like I have to be okay. And then I guess I don't know. All right. This abuse of the I don't know. Sometimes it feels like it. Minus. Oh, I should also do that. Forgot. FDM shaper E. There you go. So if disabled, FDM shape a Z. Then I gotta kind of do this sort of thing. Be on the safe side here. Or maybe I do it this way. Might be okay. Might be okay. Compilers sometimes whine about these sorts of things, but they're never very serious. Hey, David, what's going on? Your description, Y smoothing. Um, cool. EGE shaping is just there for synchronization. Right on. Tell me more. uh, let's see. Yeah, the one thing is I just wanted to make sure if you want, you could turn them off. There's going to be occasions where you're just not going to want Z enabled and you don't want to waste the space on it. Not every board that's fast enough also has enough memory to deal with all these buffers. Some of them do, well, maybe most, but there's still boards that are like fast but not huge. There's ones huge that are not fast. Like what is it? The one of these boards has like 16K of RAM or something, and I forget how much, but instead of 8. It's one of the 1280s, I think. It's like might even be one of the smaller ones. It's like it's basically one that's used in Melzy. And the cool thing about that is that it allows for more features to be enabled on those where you have that use RAM and you would otherwise be able to do. But I'll look into it. I get e-smoothing as a concept. Um, and really, my ripping this apart is as much just trying to rock what's going on with everything as well. And, move fast, break things. Okay. I'm just curious whether smoothing, oh, I see, it's there for synchronization. So, yeah. Um, but in the sense of like, you can't use smoothing without the synchronization, right? Is that what you're saying? Or is there some part of, like, could we isolate the synchronization stuff and have it be just that's there, whether you're using smoothing or shaping or both? Smoothing order. Okay. And then, yeah, I hope maybe I don't need to, I don't need a Z element, but I do need an E element. Okay. Love trail mix, but it gets all stuck in my teeth. Okay, moving on. Right. And yeah, I mean, it's almost like I can see how you could do. Just looking at this and going, is there a way we can use that array trick we had? But because it wouldn't work with the elements, or we'd have to do something like weird. Anyway, and again, oops, and E, and let's see, okay, Z, getting there, getting there. So cool. I don't have to. I was thinking I'd kind of have to rush today so I can get this out by the time, like, in time for people at the event or whatever to have a chance to catch on what's going on and try it out during the day or maybe over the weekend. But if it's not till the 28th, I feel a little less rushed. Still, I do feel like this is the time to get this out. So I am really in a rush anyway. I'm in rush mode. Get this bloody thing out. Get it in your hands, and then you can tell me what's broken. Tell me more about what's broken. You already do. I haven't been through the bug reports in a while. Sorry about that. Just catching up on PRs and this kind of stuff just to get this thing out, and then patch up as many bugs as possible for the 2131 release, and then we'll keep going forward from there. Okay, did I get everything? Let's find has z-axis do have that. Has dynamic frequency MM. Is that new, or should I be doing that? Oh, I see. This is one where, yeah, dynamic frequency would be just for the fact that you're moving up and down, or that you have an extruder, because it can be dependent on either of those. That's fine. That's good. Okay, we're good there. Um, and then we'll take a look at the C++ code. See, make sure we got all those. All right. Right, because each of those is a fairly large array. Um, Verified yet? Let's see. Doing all right? Okay. Oh, I don't know what it is, but this fasting thing I've been doing lately, it's been very helpful to overall energy. Got a few digestive issues in recent times, and I'm like, oh. And I've also been trying to like lose some weight and just like get more exercise and stuff. So that's what I've been working on a bit of that. And for part of that, I decided it'd be good to like, just fast, then do some juicing, things like that. What do we got here? Shaping. Again, this does look like it's independent. Still putting it in. Just cut. Just don't know. A raw extruder position, that's used for linear advance. I do believe that's something that we just have in there. Yeah, it's part of it. You wouldn't want to use FT motion if you weren't using its linear advance and stuff. Next, okay, nothing about has z-axis left here. Let me take a look at the smoothing and see how it's behaving. What's going on with that? Smoothing. Get to know it. So here's our smoothing. And what is going on? Smoothing and an axis, given an axis. Oops. And right, and then total delay, and then delay samples, smoothing past, alpha. It is affecting trajectory. See, so yeah, let's see what it's like. This is interesting. It does look like it has independence, perhaps. But wait, it's writing to shaper. Oh wait, it's writing to smoothing. Okay, good. It's only writing to smoothing. Continuing on, let's keep a look at smoothing here. Right. And I don't know if we ever need to use axis in here, but I guess we don't. So that could be fine. Either way works. Okay. Yeah, looks like smoothing could be independent. Oh, well, good. Boop, boop, boop. Been doing a lot of retro code explorations lately, kind of like break up the monotony. That's been fun. Um, I've actually been writing a little Atari Basic parser. Well, first it reads the basic file into memory, and then you can list it. So I'm working on that part first. Then I'm going to have it parse and tokenize basic from text, and so it can produce a BAS file from a typical, Atari Basic blob. And I'm going to incorporate that into Sublime as part of my plugin, the 6502 tools plugin that I have on GitHub. It's it's a Sublime plugin that gives it the ability to recognize Atari Basic and syntax and stuff. Well, I recently found a problem in a little glitch in my syntax, so I have to fix that up. It was like didn't quite understand expressions, so I gotta like have it recognize when it's entering parentheses and that it needs to go into I'm looking at an expression and I'm one deep, and then as it goes in each right parenthesis takes you a level out, and if it hits an extra one on the right, an extra closing parenthesis or whatever, it can say, oh, that's an error. Or if you forget to leave one at the end, it might catch that as well. So, and the syntax can actually do that. It's pretty cool. But I got it working in a lot of places, but I still haven't got it working with the. I just have to sort out how I did expressions. Syntaxes in Sublime are based on TextMate, and I think that VS Code uses a similar form. Someone that took my Atari Basic syntax and brought it over to a VS Code plugin, so I'll have to check and see if they fixed my expressions. But yeah, it looks pretty cool when you. See, this is part of what it does. Just makes it look like Atari Basic. Pretty cool, huh? Anyway, I'm excited about that. It's fun. Fun side project. So let me take my look at my smoothing here. Shaping, smoothing. Oh, this one obviously was one too many. Coffee is great, but also makes me a little loopy. Okay. Good. Shaping, shaping, shaping. Good. Shaper Z, shaper E. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. Just looking carefully, see if there's anything I can notice that is weird. And plus equals this times that. And okay, so on. Forth. There we go. Right. Let me take a look and make sure I didn't apply that too liberally everywhere. More time. Oops, there. Smoothing. Yeah, I didn't apply it too much. So here we have. I do believe we do need E here, right? Might as well do that. And oh, um, and one of the things I can do here is this. This editor, I always lose my place. It's so annoying. Like, what was I just editing? I'll have it show the open files at the top so I can please find them. And it's part of the sidebar. Sidebar button. I know it's here somewhere. The moment I'll just let's get back to what I was doing. I was really just looking to see if this was used too much. I got here. Oh, right. And then I was, okay, cool. Closing everything else just so I don't get lost. And then here I would do and with, and with, and with. A little weird. Fixed time motion enabled with blah. And I think I'm going to go with this. Or then I'm just going to say oh, interesting. Say shaper type. Right. Axis says axis. And then it says it's shaper type, shaping. Okay. So with, I don't like this output. it's not the kind of thing that a host is going to like parsing. You're just going to get mad. Sees this, you can darn it, I don't like regular expressions, and then I have to match this somehow using split. That's not going to be fun. With axis blah shaping. With axis ZVD shaping. I don't see why you would want to do that. Why you would even want to describe it that way. Axis ZV shaping. Okay, well, yeah, the axis name. And then here I would like, well, why not, show it in, use the axis to decide what axis should be, you know? I believe we have a way to do that somewhere. I already have the ABC stuff already set up as well somewhere too. Pretty sure. Yeah. So we have these. Is kinematic, gives us these. Yeah, I can see why you'd want to do core. Things with the A, if it's X and or Z, then they become that for shaping purposes. Do it this way. Yeah, I don't like these numbers either. X, Y, Z. Okay, fine. Mhm. Unless that's going to end up being what? Axis, and then it's going to be like conjoined with a macro. No, hopefully not. Um, okay, just checking. Um, and this is for the purposes of stepper. So, and yeah, this will be B and C, and I guess and A axis. Yeah, so I want to print it up here instead. Um, yeah, and it's also it's saying axis shaping, which if it's A and B and C, it's not the axis, the stepper. So yeah, with blah axis ZV shaping. Yeah, because we don't shape by axis, we shape by stepper. I mean, you could say motor, motor, X motor, A motor, B motor, C motor. Tell you what, we'll do it this way. Do it that way. Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's a tricky one. Tricky one. ABC column. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I kind of have to leave out the motor because like these may be used in menus and stuff. Ah, it's rather annoying. Let's put these down here though. Fine. All right. Mm-hmm. I put a semicolon there. Let's see. Say XZV shaping. I feel like I should say something like equals, you know? Do I have to say echo F? I forget about that. I have to do this. It's pretty. Um, okay. With A ZV shaping. A shaping ZV. Yeah, I don't want to say axis, man. Don't. It's not an axis. You have to leave it out. Um, you could always say motor, I suppose, but idea. Hmm. How you like that? We'll just do this. Keep it short. Z. C. Anything better? Worse? Indifferent? There you go. Finished my message in the chat. Yes, I gotta remember 3D Printopia, not today. Okay, just a little moving on here. Dynamic. Right. What about E? Is there a dynamic frequency mode based on E? Have to do that. I do believe one of these, like, I think that's part of it, right? Right. And would you be scaling with is Shaper Z? That's something that I think that's something I came up with earlier. It's called now it's called FTM Shaper Z. Yeah, that's what I called it. Yeah. And yeah, see, these are kind of becoming dependent on each other, but well, they're not as they used to be. Yes, you have to have an X to have a Y, so on. You probably and probably a Y to have a Z, but sometimes the nesting is just confusing. All right. So I want to make sure of that. Okay. Smoothing. It's okay to be as that, and this is okay as extruders because smoothing doesn't depend on that stuff. And then see if anything else related to smoothing time. Got those old wrappers. Yeah. Here we go. And right. Shaped elem equals default shaper, default shaper, default shaper. Frequency, 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 etc., etc. There's your smoothing time. Okay. And then smoothing time is simply shaped float in each of the in the config. Okay, and it's in seconds. It's a FT shaped float T. I'll have to look at that. Why is it a float? Why does it need a special type? Oh, and there we go. Has Z axis and has extrude. Yes, very smart. Very smart autocompleter. Here we go. All right. And let's see where else I'm using it. Over applied again. Interesting one, but yeah, you can set it for Z. Okay. Z-based. Are you Z-based? Okay, and then, right, dynamic. Cool. All right, I think good. Then this is the mode. And that's also, that is smoothing. I see. So you were mentioning before, I had to read the comment like later, and I was like, what is he referring to? That's there for synchronization. I'm assuming that there's a block that says FTM smoothing, and inside there's a little block related to FT, whatever it is, the other stuff, shaping. We'll find it all. We'll find it all. Clean it up. Did I get them right? That's why. That's why. That's why. Right. All Y. All day. Z. All day. I didn't make any typos in this block here, and the same with smoothing. X, Y, Z. Oh, and that should be assume. Extruders. That's smoothing time for E-axis. Cool. See what it looks like. Gotcha. Oh yeah, it's a single value. Great. Moving on. There's something I'm missing. Getting here. Oh, this thing. Set shaper for a given axis when an index is skipped. Yeah. It would almost be better if you could just pass the reference to the shaper you want to modify and use that instead of the axis index. And somewhere earlier on, it could do the dealing with which axis and all that. But yeah, we do have to worry about this thing where you have E but not Z. E but not Z, Z but not E. And then, yeah, you have missed the FTM shaper for the given axis and uses this axis index. Oh yeah, this is where I was getting a little bogged down, which is what? So let's see. 394. Oh wait, what? 349. 349 is way up here. All right, so if we use set shaper, we pass E, and I do believe we sorted it out so that, right, this is the thing where we have to go. Let's see, minus, see if I get this straight. I have to do this kind of thing. Enabled this, but not enabled this. I'm having fun. My only annoyance is with my own body's reaction to this caffeine. Hmm, it's hitting me good. I'm gonna have to get some food soon. I'll keep up with since we're not doing 3D Printopia today, as I thought originally. I will I'll quit around. Oh, I don't know. Now seems like a good time. Quit streaming now and just carry on. Um, it is now what 5 o'clock, just about. Yeah. So this is a good time to say farewell. So I'll come back and do more, show off more of this fun stuff later, and I'll prepare some kind of like presentation for the to show you some of the new features uh, as we get this especially once we get this thing released. You'll want to see what's going on. So let us now say farewell. Don't forget to check those links below. There's a lot of support the project needs right now. We lost, as I say, we lost one of our big donors. And now we're on oxygen, we're on fumes, so we really use your help. And you know, there's definitely a lot of exciting things coming in this open source hacker firmware for you and me, and not for them, man. They don't want it anymore. So it's just ours. It's the hobbyists. It's the makers. It's for us and our motion system projects. And also, I want folks like Crowdy who are shipping printers that still have Marlin on them to, let's get a new version going. You know, your Ender 3 could be, you know, really nice. It could be extra nice with this new firmware without any other changes, just the firmware. So that'll be kind of fun for everyone. All right, I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna go and do what I got to do.